Okay, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Amanda Fest podcast. My name is Amanda, and my mission is pretty simple. It's to inspire and empower you to take aligned action towards your dream life, whatever that looks like for you. We have another solo podcast today. I will be walking you guys through my crazy Miami music week that was full of unexpected twists and turns and pivots and duality and all of the things. So I'm really excited to dive into this episode with you. But as we've done with every episode, before we get into that, we're going to take a quick moment to just ground down, arrive in the here and now, and settle into our bodies. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I invite you to close down your eyes if it's safe to do so. I like to put a hand on my heart and one on my belly. And just start tuning into your internal world. Noticing where you're at. How are you feeling today? How are you feeling right now here in this moment? What's going on for you? Are you feeling tired, energized, inspired, exhausted? Whatever it is, just honor that. We're going to start breathing in through our nose and out through our mouth. And with each inhale, I want you to imagine your body is filling up with an intention, with a thought, with a feeling, something you want more of. And let those exhales be a physical representation of anything that no longer serves you, that does not align with that intention. So we're literally breathing that out through our mouth. So in through our nose with that intention. And let it go. A few more times just like that, in through the nose. And out through the mouth. One more time, in through your nose. And out through your mouth. Feel free to shake it out, make some noise, do what you gotta do, you guys. First of all, I just want to say thank you to everybody that does not skip through that part. I know dropping in, meditating, connecting to your breath, tuning into your emotions can feel scary and uncomfortable sometimes, but I hope that this podcast inspires you to try, inspires you to do something out of your comfort zone. And instead of utilizing maybe less healthy alternatives for de-stressing, if you ever feel overwhelmed or anxious or not in your right state of mind, you can utilize your breath and an opportunity to drop in, just like we've been doing. We've been practicing together. So I appreciate you all. I just wanted to acknowledge that. And yeah, bro, whoa, this last 2 weeks has just been, and I know I say this every episode, but I'm telling you, this is why I started doing the solo vlogs, because I'm like, how does so much happen in 2 weeks? I don't understand. Like, I don't get it. So the way that I prep for these episodes is I will listen back to my last episode to understand where I left y'all off in the saga. And then I'll go through my camera roll starting on the date that I released the last episode and then sort of track and trace, okay, here's all that went down. If you know me, if you've spent any time with me, you know I've always loved taking pictures and videos. So my camera roll literally is a fucking digital journal of like, here's what I did in the morning, in the afternoon, in the night, la-di-da. So our last episode was on Wednesday the 19th. On that day, I actually did the third rendition of my Rave to Remember, which is a sensory-rich rave experience for seniors. Specifically, the last three that I've done have been at my grandma's senior center, and she is in an area with patients who have Alzheimer's and dementia. So very, very specific niche. This is my third time doing this party, and it was so much fun. I just love doing it. I really do. The activities director at the senior center is so fun. His name is Justin, and he calls himself like the Willy Wonka of senior centers. His goal and mission in life is to make seeing your living something fun and exciting and not something that you dread. And then also it makes it really fun for the family members that come and visit, right? There's nothing worse than visiting your loved ones at a senior center and it just being like dark and dreary and depressing. And this space, he keeps it light, he keeps it bright, he keeps it fun, he has fun activities. And then obviously I come in with my sparkles, you know, I wear this like bright blue jumpsuit and like a furry jacket and my pink or purple hair, whatever I decide to do that week. And you can just see the faces of these residents light up and they get so excited and they feel beautiful for the first time in a long time, and they forget that they're dealing with all the things that they're dealing with, and they just get to be in their play and their joy and their authenticity. And for me, it's such a beautiful reminder of like, it's like a confirmation that the work that I'm doing is meaningful, that it is impactful, that this is so important for all ages, for children, for young adults, for seniors. I mean, at every single stage in life, the goal is to enjoy your life. The goal is to have fun and play and be in your joy. And it's just really such an honor to get to facilitate an event like that. So that was super, super fun. And then after that, I was exhausted. I'm not going to lie. I was so tired. I just remember laying on the couch, like my body felt heavy, and I just am a go, go, go kind of gal. You know, I'm like, yeah, okay, next. And sometimes that leads to burnout, right? Like if I keep going until I can't go anymore, not always the most healthy thing, but I get so excited and inspired sometimes. And so I was in my little rest mode. I had dinner with my parents because I'm still down here in South Florida for the next little bit. And I was telling my mom how tired I was. And then I got a DM from somebody that I had met at the ecstatic dance that I went to a couple weeks ago. I talked about it in the last solo vlog. I facilitated an event at the Delray ecstatic dance. One of my exes happened to have been there. This was right after I had just dealt with this, rejection from this other guy that I had met. And so we were just navigating through a lot of emotions when it comes to male connections. And a couple days prior to releasing this last podcast episode, I also, and I talk about this in the last episode, that I had a phone call with my friend who's a manifestation coach, and she was like, Amanda, you're so close to manifesting what you're looking for. You better get really fucking clear because everything that you say is coming true. And I was like, oh, damn. Sunday the 16th, I wrote a list of what I'm looking for in partnership. Wednesday the 19th, I released my episode talking about driftwood and talking about getting clear on what you're manifesting and how that clarity allows you to call in what you're truly desiring. And then wouldn't you know it, so 3 days later, I get a text, I get a DM from this man that I had met very briefly at this ecstatic dance event. I thought that he was cute, but I didn't think much else of it. I was connecting with a lot of people that night because, one, I had facilitated, so I had a lot of people coming up to me, wanting to connect with me, wanting to learn more about AmandaFest and what I do. And then I had pitched my intentional field trip to space to this group, and he was one of the people that came up to me at the end and asked for my information because he wanted to potentially come to space that next week. And so I gave him my info, didn't think much of it. Now we're at Wednesday the 19th. I released my podcast episode. In the morning, I did my rave to remember. I'm exhausted. I'm like depleted. So he DMs me and he invited me to the drum circle that happens in Delray every week. And this is something that I've heard about. A few months ago, I travel full time. I don't live in Miami, South Florida all the time, but I'm here right now. But the last time I was here, I spent some time in Delray, and, I spent some time in Miami. I spent some time in Delray, and I was like, wow, Delray really has a vibe. Like, there's a really awesome, thriving, conscious community here. I want to learn more about it. And I had heard that there was a drum circle, and I had heard that there were all these different things, but I had only experienced bits and pieces. I had never been to the drum circle. So even though I was exhausted, this guy invited me to the drum circle, and it was something that I had wanted to go to. So I said yes. And my mom laughed at me because she was like, wait, weren't you saying how exhausted you were 3 seconds ago? And I was like, yeah, but something in me told me this is a cool experience. You should go. I was like, I've been desiring to do this thing. I now have somebody. He was telling me that he was going with a group of friends. I was going to have, community there. It sounded like a really great idea. And in the background of this. So I live about an hour away from Delray. This drum circle was starting at like, I don't know, it was going to go from like 8 to 10, and then there was going to be fire spinning happening after, whatever. So he had mentioned in our interaction that he was staying somewhere that he had extra rooms, and so that if it did get too late and I needed somewhere to stay, that he would be happy to host me. Which, if you are a nomad, I know to other people that might sound a little sus and sketchy, but for us nomads, like, that is a fucking godsend, because for me, I say no to things a lot because I'm like, ugh, I don't want to drive back. I'm going to be so tired, or I don't know where I can stay. So when somebody offers you a place to stay, obviously I have, my own discernment and tune into my intuition. And if I had gotten there and the vibe was strange, I wouldn't have agreed to it. But it was just nice to know that that was available and that was an option on the table. And so I was like, great, cool, sure. So I went to the drum circle. This is all the same day. This is podcast release, Rave to Remember. Now we're at the drum circle. And I arrived there, and I didn't see the guy that invited me first, but the first person that I did see, which as I was driving over there, I had a feeling he was going to be there, but it was this man that I had dated back when I was in LA that I reconnected with at the same ecstatic dance event in Delray a couple weeks prior. He was there, and I should have put together the pieces because they're in the same circles, but they were all together. It was this guy that I used to date. It was this new guy who just invited me to this, and then a whole other group of people. And I was like, okay, great, amazing. So I come over, I'm chatting with, I don't even want to call him my ex, but sure. Chatting with him, we're having some good, like, we're good. Like, we're super, super good. It's actually really nice to like reconnect and see him. And then I end up chatting with the other guy that invited me, and it was like all very friendly, platonic, nothing weird. The drum circle was a vibe. Everyone that was there was so cool. Felt very like Amsterdam, Tulum, just like free spirit, hippie. Like, it was a cool event. I'm like so glad that I went. The vibes were amazing. I was served hape in the middle of it, which I've talked about here before. It's like a ceremonial snuff that you could either serve yourself or be served. And it's a medicine that supports me and can support people in connecting deeper with themselves, dropping in. I like to use it in meditation, but it's something that I used to use all the time, and now I use less frequently. But it's always really beautiful when somebody offers to serve you, because it's a whole experience. And this felt like the perfect opportunity to do that. So I did that and had a really beautiful night. I really made some wonderful friends. I got to vibe, I got to dance. I was tired, so I was honoring where I was at. I showed up like dressed like this, I think I was wearing a fucking hoodie, and like, I wasn't trying very hard to show up any sort of way. And I think that's a big lesson that I've learned in my spiritual journey, is there used to be a part of me that felt like if I couldn't show up 100%, then I can't show up at all, that people aren't going to like me if I'm not fun, vibrant, bubbly Amanda. And I realized people love me no matter what. Like, I've been finding this, I felt that same way when I went to St. Pete, and I told you guys about that experience. I'm like, wow, even when I'm at 50%, 40%, 30%, people still feel my vibe and energy, and I don't have to do anything for people to like me and feel my essence. So that was really beautiful confirmation, and I honored that. I honored where I was at that night, and I wasn't trying to do anything. I was just there, and I was like, hey, I'm really tired, but I'm here, and I'm happy that I'm here, and I'm looking forward to connecting, and it was really beautiful. And so after the drum circle ended, the guy that invited me was like, hey, there's also fire spinning at this kava bar later this evening if you want to check that out. He's like, how are your energy levels? I was like, well, I'm really tired, but I'm already all the way down here, and I want to experience it all. So I was like, I'm going to rally. I was like, I don't need to stay. I don't need to shut it down, but like, I would love to go experience it and see what's up. And so he was like, great. So he and another guy and me all went back to this person's house. He was like, let's go back to my house. He was like, let's regroup for a second, and then we'll all pile into one car so that we can all go together. And I was like, amazing, great, sounds good. So we went back to this guy's house. It was me, him, and a friend of his. So again, very like platonic vibes, like nothing sus, nothing like, to be weary of, and no like romantic vibes yet. We're inching up towards that. But yeah, we regrouped. I found out that he's a musician. and he plays guitar and sings, which if you tuned into the last episode and heard a little bit of my list of what I'm desiring in partnership, that's on the list. So that was exciting for me. He played a couple of songs because his friend had asked him to, and I was like, ah. I get talent crushes, when somebody's really talented, I get very excited. And so we obviously had a few moments of just connection. It was very funny when I retold the story to my sister a little bit later. She was like, I'm sorry, I gotta stop you. And I was like, what? She goes, that scene in Barbie? There's this scene in Barbie where Ken is playing guitar at Barbie, and then all the Kens are like playing guitar at the Barbies. And she was like, I'm sorry, anytime somebody says somebody play guitar for them or they're on a date and someone plays guitar, she's like, I just think about that. And I was like, that's very accurate, because like, what do you do when someone's like playing guitar and looking in your eyes? Like, it's intimate. It's really intimate and funny also. It's both. It's all both and all the things. But yeah, it was really beautiful. We went over to where they do fire. I saw my ex again, and I think he may have picked up on the fact that I was with this other person, but it didn't matter. It doesn't matter. None of it matters, but it's all just like, I don't know, like new territory for me. I'm used to like always roaming around and like bouncing between communities. So being somewhere where like people know me and they know the other people, it's like I'm not really so used to that. So we went to the Kava bar. The Kava bar was a fucking vibe, yo. It was so cool. It looked like a dreamscape you walked into. They had like clouds on the sky, and oh, it was so cool. But then there was people outside spinning fire, and it was so awesome. The people there again were such a vibe. It was cool. It was just like artists doing their thing. I loved it. It was wonderful. I ended up staying the night at this guy's house, and we definitely connected deeper. I'm just gonna leave it at that. It was really funny because as we were connecting and he and I were chatting, it was very interesting, not funny, I'll say, because the universe just works in mysterious ways. But he was on the tail end of a breakup, and I obviously, had just gotten really, really clear on what I'm calling in and what I'm desiring. And he had said to me, I manifested you. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he had told me that morning he was at the beach and he was meditating and he was calling in basically me, that he was feeling all these feels and, really desiring to connect with someone like me. And it was just funny because I was like, I feel like I manifested this experience as well, because having just dealt with that rejection, from a few weeks ago and getting clarity on what I'm calling in. And so far as I'm getting to know him, I'm like, you're checking a lot of these boxes. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but definitely leaning in with curiosity. I kept saying, as we were connecting and both of us obviously really liked each other, I was like, I'm very intrigued and proceeding with caution is what I kept saying. Very intrigued and proceeding with caution, because I think it's very important, especially at the beginning stages of connecting with somebody. It's very easy to have rose-colored glasses and get so excited. And there's all these things that are magical and amazing. You're getting to know someone. It's so fun. And remaining with at least one foot on the ground. And especially, I'm dating right now with intention and really desiring to call in true partnership. I want to be very careful that I'm not overlooking very important things because I'm just excited to be in connection, because I'm desiring to be seen and somebody seeing me, right? Like, that is beautiful and wonderful, but that's not enough. And so proceeding with caution, but leaning in and being open. It's a dance and a balance. And it was really wild how fast that happened, where it was like getting clarity on what I'm desiring, getting clarity on what I'm calling in. And now here's another one. Who's to say where it's going to go or what's going to happen? But again, I look at all of these experiences as beautiful lessons, and I'm here for this experience right here and right now, and I'm present with it. I'm grateful that the universe presented me with yet another potential partner, right? Somebody that checks a lot of the boxes that previous partners have not checked, and is giving me the opportunity to be present with this and experience this and see where it goes. So that was 2 weeks ago today, and I'm feeling similarly. We've been spending a lot of time together, and I'm enjoying getting to know this person, and we have a really beautiful connection, and I think that we are filling each other's cups in ways that both of us are really desiring and needing right now. And I'm also remaining very aware of the situation, of the fact that he's very recently out of a breakup, that there's some things going on with that, that I don't actually fully live here, that I'm going to be traveling and I still have things that I'm doing. And so leaning into this connection and allowing it to unfold as it wants to, and not putting pressure on it needing to be anything more than what it is right now, and continuing to be honest as things unfold, right? As we get to know each other, as we're learning more about each other, how can we show up in integrity with who we say we are, and how can we show up in integrity for each other, even if it's just for this moment right here and right now. And I'm happy that I get to share this with you guys, because I know that my perspective on relationship is very different than many people's are, particularly and especially because of the nature of the way in which I travel. And I do fall into things really, really fast. I do have this pattern of meeting somebody and immediately, going into fucking boyfriend, girlfriend mode and spending a bunch of time with them and staying with them and just like getting sucked up in their energy. And, it's very, I don't know. I've been told by so many people, don't do that. That's bad. That's wrong. Like, you need to slow down. You need to do this. You need to do that. And I'm calling bullshit on that. You need to do whatever feels right for you. And I know for me, especially the way that I travel and the way that I move, I love diving into connections like this. I love meeting people and spending a ton of time with them and really giving myself the opportunity to get to know them. As I've been doing it more and more and more, I'm getting better and more discerning at not getting lost in it, right? I'm able to lean in fully in a certain capacity while also remaining aware of the fact that I don't know this person yet, right? Any feelings that I'm feeling, a lot of them can be like physical or pheromones or whatever it is, but I'm remaining very, very aware and clear on what am I desiring, what am I wanting, and is this person showing up in integrity with what that is, and just allowing it to unfold and taking the pressure off and just living in the experience. So that's the boy update. We're gonna move on from that. So that was on Wednesday night, was when that connection began. Obviously, I've expanded upon that and told you a little bit about where we're at now. But that next day, I went down to Miami. I celebrated my friend Clarissa's birthday, which was so fun. I went out to dinner with her boyfriend and her sister and her brother-in-law. And we had this amazing meal, and I ended up spending the day with her the next day. We did another birthday dinner with her whole extended family. And then that next day, I went back to go see this guy again. We spent some more time together. I had this incredible mushroom trip. I took like a very small amount of mushrooms, and normally I can take a lot and I can hold my own, but I took a very small amount and felt it deeply. I didn't feel unsafe, but it was just one of those trips that was very eye-opening and beautiful. And this was where I got to really cement a lot of the feelings that I was feeling, of just gratitude that the universe was giving me another opportunity to experience somebody who sees me. And by the way, the last few, if you listen to the last solo episode, I'm talking about how I continued to call on partners that didn't see me, and how that was becoming my number one priority. That I want a partner that sees me, that values me, that thinks I'm amazing and magical and wonderful. And this guy definitely does. So that has been feeling really beautiful and filling my cup. And the mushroom trip just solidified all of that. It was so fun. We went to a benefit for his friend that has a spinal cord injury. And so it was this really beautiful event, and there was live music and dancing. And we went with another friend as well. And his friend was reflecting back to me just how grateful he was that I was there, and how this guy that I'm seeing, how he lights up when he sees me, and how I'm really good for him. And obviously we're very, very, very early days, but it was just really beautiful to receive all these reflections. It was just wonderful, and it felt so good, and it filled my cup and filled my heart. And especially on the medicine, it was just even more exemplified and beautiful. So I leave his place on Sunday and I come back home getting ready for a week, prepping for my Miami Music Week. I'm like, okay, we're in lock-in mode. Let's go. I'm fucking tired, but it's gonna be great. I'm coming off of this beautiful high expansiveness of connection with this person and connection with my friend and just like feeling overflowing with just love and gratitude and all the things. How can this be getting any better? Okay, universe, show me how good it gets. Show me how good it gets. So I go to bed that night and I can't sleep. I'm like on my phone. I'm like up. My mom comes into my room and lets me know that my grandpa passed away. He was 90 years old. He lived a really long and beautiful life, but still, like, just it was jarring to hear that at 4 a.m, especially because I was already up for the last hour. So it was just, I don't know. My family always calls me a witch and they think that I just, no, I'm very intuitive. And so I'm curious as to why I was up and what was happening on his end while I was awake. But my grandparents lived 4 doors down from our house as of last week. And so it wasn't just like, oh, my grandpa passed. It was like he passed just now. We're going over there right now because my grandma was still there. And so we start walking over to his house, and there's a fire truck, a police car, an ambulance, another police car. There's just all these lights. Again, it's like 4 a.m. It's pitch black at night. And we go over there, and he had passed already, like in the house. So they didn't take him with them. So he was still in the house when I got there. So everybody left, like the paramedics left, like everyone left except for one cop. And my grandma's sleeping this whole time because, obviously my grandpa's been sick for a really long time. So he's always in and out of the hospital, and she'll wake up and, see him go and then go back to sleep. She's on a lot of sleeping medication. So that wasn't uncommon, but obviously she's asleep next to him and doesn't know that he had passed away. So that was pretty intense. So I was over there with my mom and my dad, and then eventually my uncle came, and we were trying to figure out what to do because they needed to transport him, like transport his body. He's like in the house. So at one point they were like trying to figure out, I think they needed a medical examiner to sign off and confirm that he had passed, but it was really early in the morning and we were having a hard time getting a hold of people. My mom and I are just sitting there. My dad's dealing with a lot of these logistics, and essentially we end up getting in touch with the funeral home, and they sent someone out to come and get him. And I'm sitting there with my mom, and we're like, what should we wake up my grandma? Like, what do we do? Because with my last grandparent that passed, my other grandpa passed away a couple years ago. His wife, my grandma, has Alzheimer's, and so she wasn't really aware of the fact that that had happened. And so we didn't really have to deal with this last time. This one, my grandma is blind and hard of hearing, but she's extremely with it. So I was talking to my mom and I was like, we should ask somebody if we should wake her up, because I don't know the psychology or the protocol or like what we should do, but I definitely don't think we should just take him away and not think about it. I think this is a decision we need to make. So we ended up calling up one of her nurses who knows her and him very well. And she was like, in these instances, I recommend you wake her up. You tell her what had happened and give her the opportunity to say goodbye to him before they take his body away. And we were like, okay, all right, let's do it. So we go in there, and again, she's on a bunch of sleeping pills, so it was really hard to wake her up. And we wake her up, and my uncle was saying, that dad passed. And he said it a few times, but he said it really quietly, and I don't think she could hear him. And we were like, I think you need to be more clear. First of all, you need to be louder, and also say died. She's not comprehending what you're saying. So he was able to communicate it to her. And she just like, oh, I'm gonna cry thinking about this. She just started crying. You could see the moment that it like really hit her and she understood what he was saying. And it was devastating. The fact that my grandpa passed to me wasn't sad because he's been suffering for so long. And so for me, I was like, what a relief. I'm so happy he's not in pain anymore. But witnessing her reaction to that was just like next level heartbreaking. They have been married for 68 years, and my grandma's been with my grandpa every single day for those 68 years. So I can't even imagine having a partner for that long. And then literally overnight, they're gone. And so she like grabbed his hand and was singing to him and saying goodbye. And she was like, oh, it was so awful. So they eventually take his body away, and then we're in the house with her alone. It was like me, my mom, my dad. I think my uncle had left at that point, and my grandma's just like hysterical. She's sobbing, and I got into bed with her and I just held her, and I got to hold space for her and just tell her that, she understood that he was in pain, and, that he lived a really long and beautiful life, and that, I had to remind her that her life is still worth living, that there's still a reason to be here. And, there was part of her that was like, I want to go with him, which is really sad, which I understand. It's like a natural reaction. I don't know. I've always been really good in these situations. For some reason, I feel really calm. I feel like anytime I've had to deal with anything super intense, I just really have a lot of capacity to hold it in a way that I think a lot of people don't. So I sat with my grandma and held her while she cried for 2 hours. Once she calmed down, she fell asleep. I left, and my mom looked at me and she was like, you're amazing. Like, I don't know how you did that. And my dad and my uncle were like, I could never do that. Like, I'm so happy you were here. And I just think about the universe, and I'm like, the fact that I lived so far away for so many years. For 6 years I was in LA. Before that I was in Boston, New York. Like, I've been away from home for 10 years, and only in the last 2 years have I been, traveling, but I've been home sporadically. And I was here not exactly when my last grandpa died, but I was here for all the important things. Like, I supported in figuring out the logistics of his funeral, and helping my mom sell the house and empty it out, and moving my grandma into assisted living. Like, I was here for all those really important moments. And now, once again, I get to be here again for these important moments. So it's not lost on me that the universe has me here for a certain reason. And I wasn't intending on being in Miami this month at all. I was only supposed to be here for February for this wedding, and then things just, with business and parties and events and music week, and things had just escalated, and I found myself here. And so it's not lost on me. And the fact that I sat with Bufo, which is 5-MeO-DMT. It's the molecule in your body that secretes when you're born and when you die. And this is called the God molecule. And this is a medicine that allows you to experience consciousness. We are souls living in a human body. We're not humans having a soul experience. We're souls having a human experience. And Bufo really helps you to understand that this physical body is just temporary. It's just on loan. It's all impermanent. And I sat with that medicine just before my other grandfather passed, and it really helped me to contextualize and understand like what happens when we die. And it helped me to really find peace with that. And so this, again, same thing, feeling really at peace with the fact that he has moved on and is no longer in pain, and it gets to experience the next chapter of his soul's incarnation, which is beautiful. But the sad part was experiencing my grandma and seeing her so upset. And so I had a moment, we're coming off of extremely high, magic, beautiful connection, romance, friendship, to death and sorrow and pain, and just like the most intense roller coaster of emotions you could possibly imagine in a 24-hour span. And I'm here and I'm holding it all, and I'm like, okay, what next? I have Miami Music Week coming up, which is what I had planned, which is why I'm here. I was like, what do we do? Like, when's the funeral? So in the Jewish religion, the funeral typically happens very, very fast. And then we do what's called sitting Shiva, which is everybody comes over to the house of, it would be my house, my parents' house, because my dad's dad. They bring food, there's a service. It's like this whole thing. And so I'm sitting here on one hand, like, oh my God, my grandpa just died. So much is about to unfold, right? Like, what's going to happen with my grandma? What's going to happen with their house? When's the family coming in? When's the funeral? When's the shiva? What's going on? And then on the other hand, I'm hosting events this week. It's Miami Music Week. This is the reason that I'm here. This is what I'm building towards. This is my purpose. What do I do? And so events unfolded. We end up realizing that the funeral's going to be on Wednesday. My sister, who's in St. Louis, hops on a plane like within an hour of finding out that my grandpa passed. My brother hopped on a plane that night from New York City. So both of my siblings were in town by Tuesday. The funeral was on Wednesday. So we had the funeral on Wednesday. Wednesday night, we sat Shiva at our house. So we had my entire extended family come over to the house. It was a beautiful celebration, by the way. This wasn't sad. The only thing sad was witnessing my grandma's reaction to this, because she obviously has to continue this next chapter of her life without her partner, which is horrific. But besides that, this was a celebration of life. This man lived a really beautiful life. Look at this amazing, wonderful, big family that he created. Like, it was really special. And growing up, I wasn't really close with my dad's side of the family. And everybody's adults now. Me and my brother are the oldest of the cousins. Everybody was much younger growing up. And, we didn't see them a lot. And so this funeral was an opportunity for us all to reconnect and all be together. And, it was really beautiful. It really was, and it was really nice. And I think that we all really like each other, and we all have a lot in common, and we all love music. And there was a moment, we have a piano at the house where people were playing piano and playing guitar and singing. And like, truly, if I had a funeral that was like that, or a Shiva that was like that, I would be like, hell yeah. Like, look at my family, look at what they're doing, how beautiful, how amazing. So that was awesome. So I was hosting an intentional field trip to space that Thursday morning, and I was like, I think that my grandpa would have wanted me to continue doing this. His biggest pride and joy was me doing what lit me up, and I know that he would not have wanted me to cancel something that I had been working so hard towards for so many weeks and months. And so I decided I was still going to go. Originally, it was going to be my mom and my dad bought tickets. They were going to come. And this is going to be a collab event with Made for Magic. So basically, what the whole intentional field trip to space was going to be is and was. Basically, Space Nightclub is one of the most iconic nightclubs in the world, known for its marathon parties. Instead of staying up all night, we were gonna go to bed early, wake up early, and have an intentional DJ set by Made for Magic in the morning. We're gonna meet up at 6 a.m. We're gonna have a glitter station. We're gonna have connection sticks. We're gonna have healthy energy drinks, and Made for Magic was gonna do a DJ set. And then just before we left, I was gonna host my pregame meditation to help everybody drop into their bodies, get clear on their intentions, and get clear on what they were desiring. And then we were all going to caravan over to space. Initially, my parents were supposed to come, so it was going to be my mom, my dad, and then the rest of the crew. And I was going to get a bunch of really fun content, because last time I brought my mom to space and it was such a success. I was like, Dad, you gotta fucking come. Obviously, given the turn of events, they had a lot on their plate and weren't really up to going. But unexpectedly, my brother and my sister were in town. Obviously, they were there for the funeral, but I was like, you know what? I think my grandpa would have been so happy to know that all of us were together doing something fun. And obviously my siblings were able to support me in like what I'm doing and what I'm creating and what's my purpose. And so that's what we did. So my brother and my sister took my mom and my dad's ticket. They were able to come. We had the most amazing turnout, such a great experience. I was shocked that so many people showed up at 6 a.m. Everybody got to get dressed up. We had a little glitter station. We put cool glasses on everyone. We had these connection sticks where people had the opportunity to drop into deeper conversations as opposed to just like, hey, what's your name? We had our first sponsor. We had clean energy drinks, and we're doing energy drink shots. Made for Magic did an incredible set. I did my Amanda Fest pregame meditation, and it was so well received. And then we went over to space and saw Fisher and fucking danced our asses off for 4 hours. It was so much fun. And then after that, we walked back to my friend's place, got in my car. Thank God my brother was there, because my brother drove both ways, because secretly I don't think my brother feels safe driving with me, but that's a whole other story. But I appreciated it because I didn't have to drive. And so my brother drove us back home. We like decompressed for a little bit. My sister and I laid out by the pool, and then we had family over again for the last night of celebration for my grandpa. And I was like, wow. Okay, wow. So in terms of Miami Music Week, I mean, I had a bunch of events that I was planning on going to, doing whatever. But at the end of the day, I was like, what's most important is the things that I'm desiring to facilitate. That was like number one. So of course, this this unexpected passing of my grandpa shifted and changed a lot of my plans. There was a day party I was going to go to. There was a few other things I was going to do. But I was like, you know what? It's okay. Like, I don't have to do everything. So Thursday night, my whole family comes back over. We sit Shiva. My social battery is at like a negative fucking zero. I've been around so many people. I've been holding so much space. I have been doing so much. I am fucking exhausted. I felt it. I definitely felt it. So my sister had left Friday morning, and then my brother wanted to go to a Panthers game with the family on Friday. So then on Saturday, I woke up. I went down to Miami because my friend Clarissa, we only overlap like a few weeks at a time because she's always traveling back and forth between Miami and LA, and I'm always traveling. So I was like, as much time as I can obviously get to connect with her, I always want to do that. And so I think I actually went over to see that guy that I'm seeing earlier in the day on Saturday because he's in the midst of a move and all these things. So I'm over there, I'm holding space with him and for him, and that was beautiful. And then my friend Clarissa's going through some things. And so again, I'm like, I love my friends, I love my connections, I love my people, but I'm like, it's been a lot of holding space for my grandma, holding space for my family, holding space for my friends, holding space for new romantic connections. I'm like, it's beautiful, it's great, it's amazing. Obviously, all of these people are filling into my cup as well, but it's just a lot. It's a lot of things to get to do, right? It's a privilege to have all of these beautiful responsibilities and people to show up for, and it's amazing and beautiful and wonderful, and that is a very important reframe. And so that morning I went over and I hung out with him for a little bit, and I also Clarissa and I were desiring to do a mushroom ceremony. And so I obviously had such an incredible experience with the mushrooms with that guy a few weeks ago that I was like, we have to do these mushrooms. And so he helped me organize that. And I went over to see him and also to pick up the mushrooms. And then I went all the way from Delray all the way down to Miami. And if you know the geography, I'm doing a lot of fucking driving, guys. I'm driving like 40 miles one direction, 40 miles another direction, 40 miles another direction. Like, it's a fucking lot. But I'm like, I could do everything. Yay! So we do. I go to Clarissa's and we drop into this beautiful conversation, and we're looking at the clock and it's like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. And I had said to her before, I was like, let's do the mushrooms at like 6 o'clock because I had another event that Sunday that was like my closing. Sunday was going to be my big Miami Music Week day. I was going to do Daybreaker in the morning, which was a sober morning rave. I was going to sleep for most of the day, and then I was going to go to the Factory Town closing party through sunrise. So I was like, Sunday's going to be a big day. So if we do mushrooms, like, we got to do that shit early. Obviously, life did life shit, and the person that was dropping off the mushrooms didn't even show up until like 6 o'clock, and I'm already like an hour away. So I was like, everything was delayed. I get to Clarissa's house, it's like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. We hadn't taken the medicine yet, and I was like, yo, like, I cannot start taking medicine at like 10:30 at night. I can't be up till 2 in the morning. That's not on the menu. She was like, I'm not attached. I was like, I'm not attached. So we didn't end up doing the medicine, which is funny if you know us, because this has happened so many fucking times where her and I like very intentionally have intended to sit with medicine together, and it just doesn't happen. And we are always like, it's okay, it's fine. We allow the universe to give us exactly what we need. We may be sitting tonight, so I'll keep you guys posted on the next solo vlog if we ended up sitting tonight, because my goal is to finish this up, get this out, and head over to her place after. So stay tuned on that. So we end up staying up all night, chit-chatting, blah, blah, blah. I go to bed, wake up in the morning. She makes me this fucking incredible breakfast. We're listening to Ben Bomber. We're watching music. I'm like, ugh, what a beautiful life. I love my friends. I love my life. Everything's amazing. This guy that I'm seeing said yes to coming with me to Daybreaker. So it's going to be me, him, and my business partner, Alex. Alex and I obviously are going as market research for the events that we're desiring to connect and do. But obviously Daybreaker is one of my favorite, like, they are like my goals of, I want to create and curate events of this level and with this ethos for sure. So getting to experience their events is like awesome. Obviously I've been doing market research for the last couple of months, going to all these different events, and I'm like, I need to see how Daybreaker goes down in Miami. Like, I'm really curious and interested. So I had this beautiful, amazing breakfast with Clarissa. We're hanging out. We're listening to music. My guy comes and picks me up. We roll over to Daybreaker. We get there. They have B12 shots. They have this awesome nervous system chair that vibrates and has like meditation. They've got a stretch center. They've got free coffee. And then they got the fucking dance floor going. The event started with some breath work, and then it turned into this epic dance party. Alex shows up, we're dancing, we're having a good time. I got to connect with Eli, who's one of the founders, and he and I have been chatting on Instagram a bit, and so I was like, hey, I want to put a face to the name, and he was like, I love what you've been doing. So that was really cool to get that recognition from somebody that I look up to, that they're, aware of what I've been doing and impressed by it. So that's super cool. And I just made it my mission to be the fucking vibe at this party. I brought my bubble gun. I had an epic outfit on. I had my Amanda Fest hat, and I was just fucking living. And the feedback I got from people was just unbelievable. Again, I'm like, my goal and my mission is to inspire intentionality, connection, and play to events around the world. And that means for the events that I host and the events that I go to, I get to show up. I know that the way that I show up inspires other people to show up authentically too. So it is my goal and my mission to show up as fully and expressed as humanly possible. And I obviously had to find the elevated surface. I was dancing my fucking face off. I got behind the DJ booth. I'm dancing. Halfway through the party, I get like a point from this girl in the audience. 2 people came up to me. First one, my friend Mashi from LA, who I haven't seen in fucking years. It's like, Amanda! And like she gets up and we're dancing together and I'm like, oh my God, like what a fucking amazing epic way to reunite with somebody on the freaking dance floor, have them spot you from the crowd. Like that was freaking magical. And then a few minutes later, I get another point from this girl and she goes, hey, are you Amanda? And I was like, yes, I am. She goes, I don't know if you remember me, but I met you and your mom on the Upper West Side of New York City this summer. Do you remember me? And it took me a second and I like clocked it in and I was like, oh my fucking God. We were walking my mom's dog over the summer. My parents also have a place in New York and I spend time there. And we found this girl and she found me on the dance floor too. And I was like, I love being found on the dance floor. I love when people find me on the dance floor. I love it. Oh, it's so magical. And it's such a beautiful way to connect with people because then you get to bring them up and dance with them and express and play and have fun. And it's just like, So that was amazing. That was so fun. So that event ended up going like an hour later than it was supposed to. It starts raining. We're freaking dancing in the rain. The vibes are like unbelievably high. This is also the launch. So there's Daybreaker, which is like this global movement. And then there's Daybreaker Miami, which is like a franchise of Daybreaker. And so this event was a Daybreaker and Daybreaker Miami collab event, which was essentially the launch or the relaunch of Daybreaker Miami because they were passing the torch on to these new producers. One of which I had met at that sound bath that I talked to you guys about a couple episodes ago. She is one of the co-founders and the other one is this guy Kato, who I got to meet and connect with here. I made so many friends. I made so many beautiful connections. I really got to tap in. Like, I feel like I'm in the fucking Miami sober scene community. Like, people know who I am. People know that I'm a vibe. People are like it's established. It's a thing. And I'm so excited for when we launch our events because I'm like, oh, I just have so many ideas and I'm so inspired and I'm so excited. So I shut it down. The event went a little bit later and then I stayed and mingled. And this guy also, which I really, really appreciate, by the way, is like one of my markers of if somebody's going to be able to work with me in a romantic connection is that like I am a freaking social butterfly. I will always be networking. I'll always be talking to people. I will be up on the fucking stage. I'll be dancing. And I need to be with somebody that not only is okay with that, but like loves that, right? That's someone that sees me, that's like, oh, she's doing her thing, that respects it, that gives me that independence, that gives me that space, but also supports me. And I really felt like he did a very good job in that scenario, which was awesome to see. There was a moment where I was up on the stage and he was kind of back in the crowd and I like looked at him and I was like, do you want to come here? And he was like, no, I'm good. And like we talked about it after and I was like, I love that. I don't need you by my side 24/7. I just need to know that like you're good and you need to know that I'm good and like we're good. So it was beautiful. The event ended. There was this amazing singer and guitar player combo and we like fucking loved that shit. We got to talk to everyone. Ended up getting lunch with a mutual friend of me and this guy. I didn't end up getting back to Clarissa's house until 5:00 at night. So the plan is that I was supposed to go to Daybreaker for a few hours. It was supposed to be done at 2. I was supposed to come straight back to Clarissa's house, nap from 2 to like 8 or 9, and then the pregame for Factory Town at Alex's place, like me and Made for Magic, we're going to host a pregame like we did for the first space. We're going to host it at 10 o'clock at night, and then we were going to go to Factory Town. And also Alex had secured some free tickets for us at Factory Town. So this was the plan. But you know what happens when you make plans? The universe says, ha 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 ha, That's so cute that you made plans. No. So that's what happens. By the way, in the midst of all this, I mentioned earlier that it like had rained, but it was starting to torrential downpour to the point that when we went to the restaurant, we were soaking wet in the restaurant, had to bring a towel into the restaurant. By the time we left the restaurant, we were literally driving through a fucking river. Like, it was insane. Crazy, crazy, crazy. The universe just like opened up the heavens and it was like, shoo. And on top of that, like, who the fuck wants to go out in that? I know there's tons of videos of people like at Ultra dancing like in the puddles in the rain. And, you know, like, it was fun for a minute at Daybreaker at the end of it to dance in the rain. But the last thing I want to do is go out knowing it's pouring and be dancing in puddles all night. Like, that does not sound fun to me. Also, I had like an ear infection that I was dealing with in the midst of all this. So that was a thing. But backing up. So I get back to Clarissa's house around 5 o'clock. I was like, I'm taking a nap. So I take a nap. I set my alarm for like 8:30. I wake up. I had some food. Clarissa had made me some tacos because she's a fucking angel. And I'm texting with Alex. We're checking in. I told her we'd check in at 8:30. And she was like, hey, I don't know if we're going to go. Like, our tickets, you know, the guy that has our tickets isn't going anymore. We could still get them, but it's going to be a little complicated. And I was like, honestly, say less. Like, I'm already on the fence. She was like, I thought you were. And I was like, yeah, I'm not. I'm okay if we don't go. And she was like, great, I'm okay if we don't go. And I was like, great. I was so tired, you guys. Like, my body was fucking so tired. And I was like, you know what? Okay, so I only did 2 events for Miami Music Week. I'm okay with that. I did 2 amazing events. I showed up 100% fully. And there will always be other parties. Like, there's always going to be things, and that's totally okay. I woke up the next morning and somebody invited me to afters at like 8 in the morning. And I was like, should I go to afters? Like, I don't know. And then an hour later, so my grandma, so I'm in Miami. My parents are in Fort Lauderdale, so about like an hour away. My grandma's moving into assisted living on Monday morning. My dad initially asked if I was going to be home, and I was like, no. And he was like, it's cool, I can do it on my own. And I was like, all right, well, if you change your mind, like, let me know, I'll be on standby. So he calls me Monday morning, and thank fucking God I didn't stay out till sunrise the night before, because he was like, I'm trying to move your grandma. We have the U-Haul here. We got all of her stuff. And she is like crying, asking for you. And I was like, okay, I'm on my way. I was like, what is she saying? And he was like, she's saying, I want Amanda. I want her love. I was like, okay, I'm coming. And so I drove all the way down. So now my music week is over. It's Monday morning. I drive all the way down to Fort Lauderdale. I go to my grandma's. I completely support her in a reframe. She's leaving the house that she lived in with my grandpa for the last, like, I don't know, 15, 20 years. Like, it's been a long time. And so yeah, that was really sad, but I was able to support her in reframing and got her excited about moving to this fucking magical senior home, by the way. It's the same one that my other grandma's in, but this place is awesome. Like I was telling you about at the beginning of this episode, this place is not boring. This place is not like, the last thing I would want for my grandma right now is to be sitting in an empty house where her husband passed away and where she also has all these memories with him. It's like, go somewhere new, start a new life. Like, it's going to be great. And so I supported her with that reframe. And my dad was like, how the fuck did you do that? Like, she was like, I'm ready. I'm so excited. And he was like, I don't know how you did that. Like, I don't know how you brought her from like not wanting to go, being so sad and upset to so excited, but here we are. And so I got in the car with her and her aide, and my dad followed, and we moved her in, and I stayed with her the whole first day. I even slept over that night, slept on the couch to make sure that she was acclimated. I went down to happy hour with her that first night and introduced her to a group of ladies. Helped her make new friends. Like, she's fucking thriving. She's doing a great job. And yeah, that night my dad was planning on sleeping there, and he asked me if I could stay, and so I stayed the night. And again, think about like the sequences of events. Like, I'm fucking tired. Like, I'm so tired. And in the midst of all this, I had this like crazy earache that was just like progressively getting worse and worse, that I had kind of put on the back burner because I was like, I'm too busy. I can't deal with this thing. And it manifested into like a pretty fucking gnarly migraine on Monday night, and I was waiting for my dad to come back with Advil because he was doing a run, and I was like trapped in the apartment, and the dog was there, and the dog had to go to the bathroom, and I couldn't leave because I didn't have a key, and it was like it was like getting worse and worse and worse and worse, and I'm like sitting there, and I just start hysterically crying, and I'm just like, life is not about how you show up when things are amazing and wonderful and incredible. Life is about how the fuck do you show up when things are hard? How do you stay in integrity with who you say you are when shit hits the fucking fan, when you're trapped in an apartment and your head is bursting through the seams and you're showing up for everyone? Like, how do you show up as a human being? It really put me to the test. My dad eventually came back. I got some Advil immediately. It started feeling better, which was great. But I was like, yo, I need to take care of this tomorrow. Like, I can't be neglecting myself anymore. Like, I really need to figure this out. And so I was like, can you help me? He helped me make an appointment and like set all that up for me, which was great because I was like, I'm doing so much for everybody else. Like, I need someone to hold me for a second. Like, I need support too. And knowing that I get to ask for help, that I deserve to be supported, that I deserve to be held, big medicine. And especially letting my dad do something like that for me, that was really, really, really healing and beautiful and wonderful. So yeah, I stayed the night, woke up the next morning, had breakfast with her, made sure she was all acclimated and feeling good. And then yesterday I went to the doctor. It's not an ear infection. I have some other thing. I'm on like 18 million medications for like my nose and my ear and my throat, and it's great, but I'm taking care of it and it's hopefully going to get better soon. And then I was already halfway to where that guy I'm seeing lives. So I was like, he's dealing with a lot too with his move and stress and all this. So I was like, let me go see him. He took a break and bought me dinner. And then he had this really beautiful beach spot that's through the jungle and the woods, and then took me to the beach and we just like decompressed for a minute. And yeah, just got to just be there and not do anything, just like be in each other's energy. And that was really beautiful. And then I came back home and passed out. And now I'm here recording this episode on the day of release yet again. But such is life, because I make these promises to myself that I'm going to show up, that I'm going to do the thing. And I'm really proud of myself for continuing to make it happen no matter what. And so what does all this mean? How do we synthesize all of this fucking madness into a clean lesson and message for my audience? It's fucking life is crazy, guys. That's really what it is. Life is so full of duality. Nothing in life is permanent. It's all chapters. It's all moving all the time. And to be present and to be grateful and to be honest and true and clear in each every moment. And even if you don't show up in integrity 100% of the time, correcting yourself. Even this morning, I was like, fuck, I'm so exhausted and life is so hard. And why did I choose this? And why did I walk away from my cushy life? And things were good. And I was like, you know what? Or I can fucking step into gratitude. Or I can be like, wow, you know what? I've grown so much and I am building something so beautiful. And yes, there's a part of me that's like, fuck, I haven't opened my laptop in 2 weeks and I'm so behind on all my work. But I'm like, look at what I've done the last 2 weeks. Look at the events that I've hosted, the space that I've held, the lives that I've shifted, the people that I've been there for, the things that I've gone through. Like, so often in life, I feel like we have such high expectations of ourselves that we do not give ourselves enough credit for all the amazing things that we are doing. We love to sit there and say, well, I didn't do this and I didn't do that and I'm behind on this and I'm behind on that. But I think shifting and reframing, when our brain starts doing that little dance and loop of like, wow, I did so much this week. Wow, I'm so grateful that I got to do this much this week, that I have all these things to do, that I have all these people that need my support, that love me, that want me there. And like on top of all of this, I have a very close friend of mine that is dealing with a horrific health issue, that in the middle of all of this, every single time I'm in the car, I'm on the phone with her, supporting her from long distance because she's based in New York. And it just always puts things into perspective for me. I'm like, I want to be there for everybody. I want to show up for everybody. And also I have to set boundaries and I have to take care of myself and I have to give myself fucking credit for all of the amazing things that I'm doing. And so I think that's the beautiful lesson in all of this is acknowledge yourself, give yourself credit, let yourself be held by others, and just be a fucking good person. Like, just be a good person, show up for others, and the world is based on karma, and what goes around comes around. And don't do it because you want something in return, but just do it because it's the right thing to do. You guys, thank you for listening to another crazy 10 days of the life of Amanda. I have no idea what's about to unfold these next 2 weeks, but I'm so excited. I have some epic guests lined up for the rest of the month, a really special one lined up for the 50th episode, which is creeping up. So if you haven't already done so, please like, share, subscribe, message me, give me your feedback, tell me what you're thinking. I see all of you guys watching these solo podcasts, and so I know that they're interesting. I know you're liking them. So I'm hoping that you continue to show up, you continue to listen, and I cannot wait to catch you guys on the next one. Mwah!